but the automation of it all is important. I want every single person that comes to our agency to leave us a review. We also need to know where we need to do things better, right? It's so important for us to continue evolving and getting feedback. And when you're actively asking your clients what they think about you, oh, maybe this is something I can mention where it'd be cool if they offered me this. And it's like, oh, well, I do offer that. And that just never came up. So there's opportunities within those reviews too that I think are so underutilized. And mostly I'd say because people are kind of scared of feedback. They're kind of scared of the not so great review, and you should desire those. You should attract any type of feedback from the people who are working with you so you can continue to evolve your business. And the best way to do that is just getting feedback from people who've interacted with you.
Welcome to the Spotlight Session. It's a game-changing interview series that showcases award-winning agency owners to share secrets of starting and scaling a marketing business.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of our HighLevel podcast Spotlight Sessions, where we bring in high-level users from our ecosystem to share a little bit of behind the scenes of their business, how they're using HighLevel, how they can inspire and help others within the HighLevel community so you could use it as well. I wanted to bring on a special guest here of ours, Miss Adrianne Branche. She is the CEO of Branche Out Marketing. We've put together an episode based on Adrianne's expertise, what she does day to day around this topic. And the topic is streamlining sales and marketing systems with HighLevel to maximize growth for you and your customers. And we put together three main pillar points that we're planning on going over today. The first one is identifying gaps in sales and marketing processes. The second is leveraging high-level automations for efficiency. And the third is achieving time freedom while maintaining client touch points. Adrianne, welcome to the HighLevel Spotlight podcast. Great to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. You guys,
I'm excited to have you because I know we've been back and forth and we finally got on here.
We have been, but time will present itself when it's supposed to. So I'm glad we're getting this opportunity to connect. And I've learned so much over the past couple of years in HighLevel and just through other agency owners, and it has just changed the game for how I run business, for how I can spend my time day to day. And I think more people should definitely leverage it in their sales and marketing strategy as a partner. It's become a huge partner of mine. So I'm excited. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you and to hear that part of, sometimes we get so caught up in our workstation, in our working environment, in our goals and our to-dos that we forget that there are other people like us out there leveraging the systems and that what we're doing every day is not unique. And that's what we try to do on this podcast is bring folks like yourself and others on to share, hey, this is how I'm using it. Adrianne, for those that may not know you personally or are brand new to HighLevel and don't really know the potential, could you share a little bit about your story and how we were able to earn your business to come to HighLevel as our customer and why you're still with us?
Yeah, absolutely. It all starts in the beginning, right? So last year I was in a advertising and marketing accelerator program. It was 16 weeks long. The company is Billie Jean is marketing, and that, I was like, where do I start? Where do I even start? And he created a really detailed framework of how to start your agency and how to run ads and how to create content and so on and so forth. And throughout that 16 weeks, I was surrounded by 300 other people in the group that were of the same mind, right? How do we start these businesses? How do we get back some time for ourselves so we can spend it how we really want to spend it? And so I just made the investment. I got contacted by Billy after a conference in January of last year. I was like, hey, what's up with this program that you got going on? And so he's telling me about it, and I was like, I need to jump in. I need someone to hold my hand through this process. I need a community of people around me that speak the same language, because this is a different language for sure. It's something that is there's just so many nuances to it. And when you have those other people who know how to speak that language, it makes it all easier. So I joined the program, and I learned so much in that 16 weeks, but I also understand that not everyone has 16 weeks of time to want to dedicate to that or to even really just sit through it. People are working full-time jobs, and a lot of people are using this to start another business or whatever that may be for them. So after going through the accelerator course, they're using HighLevel as well. And everything that we learned in that process are things that I've learned before, but using multiple platforms. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't need multiple logins. I don't want to have to do integrations between all these systems to communicate. I need one tool that can do the bulk of the work with me and speak to itself and communicate with itself. And that's where HighLevel came in. And, I've used so many CRMs in the past and so many integrations and automations that just took so much time to set up. And HighLevel pretty much simplified that whole entire process. So I'm a huge fan of it. I don't know where I would be without it, probably a bit more frustrated, but I'm not. I love HighLevel, and it's been just an awesome partner in building my business. So, now I have these groups and masterminds that I check in with because so many different people are leveraging this tool in different ways. And you can't think of all the ways by yourself, and you shouldn't try to. It'll hurt your brain. So don't do that, but continue to have that community of people who use the platform or are running agencies or are using it for their own business, to really learn a lot more about the ins and outs of how powerful this tool is. Because not only is it powerful in what it can do, but it's changing every single day. I mean, in our systems and processes, like our daily touch point, I have my assistant checking what are the new HighLevel updates. So she's always going to check the notifications and seeing what's evolving there. And then I think another point that I really appreciate about HighLevel is the fact that they are so open to improving their whole system, their process, what they offer. And, they've created areas where you can say, hey, I would really love to have this feature in play, or I see a gap here in something that HighLevel I know could offer. You submit that request, it goes into a portal where people start looking at it internally and say, hey, so many people are asking for the same thing. Let's get cranking on it. So I love how direct it is and how personal the whole experience has been since I've been using it.
Let's touch on the first pillar here. And these are 3 pillars that you've put together and that you're passionate about. I want to talk about here the identifying gaps in sales and marketing processes when it comes to the implementation because of being either overwhelmed or it's just too techy.
Yep.
Could you touch on, with your experience and what you see yourself and with customers, how do we unpack this first pillar?
Yeah, those are great mentions. And I think there's so many different gaps, and it depends on your business structure and your sales flow. But, as a business owner, you have to wear so many hats, especially if you're starting your business. You are essentially wearing all the hats unless you can have help right away. In my case, I did not have help right away. And so I was wearing all the hats, and I took those hats very seriously, right? Because I understood that a lot of the common pain points are inconsistent follow-ups in a sales cycle, or disorganized lead tracking, or just time insensitive or time intensive workflows, and just creating it. Like you mentioned, the technology learning curve. You have to be committed to know how to set up, certain workflows and how to set up the whole environment for this, marketing machine to really work. So I would say that, any lead really needs about 5 to 7 touch points before they might convert. So we need to nurture them. And if we have 10, 15, 20 leads coming in a month or more, whatever it may be, you have to have a process in place to make sure that you're effectively following up, because it's way too easy for people to slip through the cracks. Now, this is my second business that I've run. My first one was more in financial planning. And a lot of those internal tools have all these barricades where you just can't market in a way that you would like to because of, FINRA regulations or SEC regulations. And so this tool has been able to help overcome a lot of those in ways that aren't, they're still respectful to regulation, I should say. So, but inconsistent follow-ups is, oh, I wrote down a note somewhere, or I wrote a time tracking sheet somewhere, and I know that I need to follow up with that person. So just even the energy that you have to spend remembering is too much. We've got way too many other things flying at us. And so creating a CRM with opportunities and being able to track these leads and where they are in your sales cycle is hugely important. That way you make sure nobody slips through the cracks at all. And then also it just helps with visibility as you begin to hire or bring people on or support on the platform. They know exactly where to look. They know exactly who to follow up with.
Adrianne, for somebody that they're an agency owner and they know that HighLevel has the different, pipeline, the marketing, the automations. Could you share a little bit on how you've unpacked it for your business to start to build this infrastructure of without you having to push the buttons the minute you need it done?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll use a couple scenarios here. So I'll start with the client because we've just most recently, gone through this, so it's fresh on my brain. But they had essentially grown their real estate investment company to a $40 million company without any type of CRM or systems and processes in place, which is hugely amazing. But when I was like, well, let's talk a little bit about your customer journey. Let's talk about how you're following up certain people that you talked to a year ago. And the response was, I don't have any of that in place. And I was like, well, there's so much money that's just falling out because we don't have a follow-up. And so, establishing a CRM for them, getting additional, email campaigns that are going out without them having to do it every single day. They don't have to think about it. It's just happening in the background, and they turn around and now there's a booked appointment on their calendar, has been such a game changer for them. We've started cranking this up to getting in about 50 leads a month for them. And by the end of the year, let's say they convert 20% of those people, we've now helped them raise $12 million in capital, purely just for an effective process in place. So we're really excited about how that's working, and they're excited because it's time back to the business. Every business owner wants time back. Every one of us do.
Yeah.
And so when we can give that gift to other people, you become really valuable, and you help them understand that this has to happen for your business to grow. And if you don't have it in place, then you're losing so much traction, and you're also losing to the competition who's got their process tight.
We look at the customer journey, such a powerful way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Could you talk to me and our audience about the customer journey? How do you map out your customer journey from a strategy into a technical, and maybe share one or two things that our audience could start doing for themselves with mapping out what that looks like in their HighLevel?
Yeah, absolutely. This part I think is often overlooked, and I'm not exactly sure why, but the customer journey is the number one most important place for us to start when we're talking with our clients. And even as we're looking at our own processes, we want to see what your current process is like. So at the point of reaching out to someone new, right? Are you reaching out online? Is it all referral based? Where are these new people coming from? And once they are in your system and they are considered a new lead, which is someone that could possibly buy your services, we want to know every single touch point thereafter as well. So they're in your system. Is your first touch point to call them and schedule a meeting? If so, then we can set up an automation that just automatically sends an email and has them book appointment directly to their calendar. So that way it's just one less thing that they have to do. But that's just for one person, right? Think about this you've got to do 30 of these a month, and now you've got 30 automated emails that are going out, or whatever the number is. And you really are just sitting back and relaxing and waiting for those booked appointments to come in. But after the meeting, right, what happens then? Do we make a sale in the meeting? Do we need a follow-up meeting? Do we need to send them a link to purchase something? It just depends on what that business's offerings are and what their existing sales cycle's like, and how we can tighten it up to make sure that no one slips through those cracks. So that journey from start to finish, it's not just, getting them into the lead. It's not just getting the booking appointment. It's some people say no. Some people say no to the product. And that's important to know that, well, they were interested for some reason at some point. And does it make sense to continue following up? Because maybe it's just a timing issue. Maybe it's just a financial issue. Whatever the reason is that they didn't take action, unless they are just a complete not right fit, they need to be going back into some sort of automation. So that way, how to, you can continue to nurture that lead and get them to convert at some point. And so because we are mindful of the 5 to 7 touch points before converting, we try to create as many of those as possible within the flow. And then maybe we're not always asking for the sale. Maybe it's just, hey, here's some value. We don't want anything else from it, but we thought of you when we saw this valuable information, and we wanted to make sure that you had it. So being able to set a customer journey where you're not just asking for those touch points, but you're also offering value, builds the credibility, and it builds trust with those people as well. So now you're in a position to ask for the sale on the 7th time and say, hey, let's revisit this. This seems like it's, something that's interested in you because we saw that they clicked on a link that we sent in one of those emails, or they responded back, right? Whatever that outcome looks like, a no is not always a no. In my book, it's a maybe not right now, unless it's, actually just not a right fit, which is okay too.
How would you maybe use AI to craft the customer journey starting point? What are like the right questions to ask? What are maybe 2 or 3 questions to keep in mind?
I would say you have to know your own business cycle really well, right? So at what point does your customer journey start? Do you need to have, specific outreach in place? Do you need to run ads so that way people are aware of your business? Which most likely yes, because so many people are running ads, and if you're not keeping up there, it's going to be really hard to keep up with the competition. But every business is going to have a different customer journey. And, if you're looking at your own sales process, it's creating a customer journey where if you're attracting people who know nothing about you, there's a group of people that you're able to speak to that want to buy what you're offering. But I always am of the mentality of providing value. Like, people are sick of fluff. Billion things are flying at us every single day. But if someone sends me an email and says, hey, Adrianne, I can help you create automations faster, or I can help build websites faster, or I've got a really tight process around, just agency management, I'm all ears. I want to know that. Those things speak to me, and I'm going to open that email, and I'm going to want to book a meeting with them and learn more. So it's just the value add from the very beginning. And so when you're looking at your customer journey, what are my value adds to my audience? Who is my audience? Who are the people that would find the most value in that? So that's really more foundational nitty gritty of the questions that you should be asking before you start mapping out and implementing the automations there. Because if you're in a position where you're just marketing to everyone and you're spending ad spend on a very large group of people who aren't even willing to buy or even the right fit for you, now you're just, hemorrhaging cash, and you don't really need to be. So getting, some market research, we help a lot of our clients with market competition and analysis to make sure that we have a very particular group of people that we want to show ads to, or that we want to show value to in whatever way that looks like. So that way we can just, have more of an effective sales flow altogether, and that we're continuously adding value. People look at you in a particular skill set, whatever that skill set is that your business is offering. And that when that time is right for that customer, they're like, oh, I know exactly who to go to. So all of that, I would say is merged together, but you have to be very clear on who your product or service is for and who would find value in that before we start creating any other parts of the journey. I think when we just take a step back and look at why we even started our business, it starts there, right? Typically, business owners are starting a business because they've identified a problem and they want to solve for it. And so that's what it's all about. I have something of value to this group of people, and I'll use whatever resources that are available to me to solve for that problem. And as the business owner, those available resources can be a whole technology stack. It can be, a very efficient technology stack. I mean, there's so many ways to get it done. But again, it's a big reason why I've leveraged HighLevel, because it's kept all of that in-house. So yeah, just being very clear on your value proposition and what you can offer to people is the most important part for an effective sales and marketing strategy. You have to know, what their pain points are, like you mentioned, how you're solving for that, and be very clear in those communications too. So we use ChatGPT a lot. We use Gemini a lot. We're getting into DeepSeek a bit. So,
There's a whole bunch. This
there's a
stuff is
whole bunch. I
growing.
mean, that's the other part of it too. The AI part can be very overwhelming, but I would say don't get drowned in all that noise. Just pick one in the beginning. Let that be your tool that learns about you, learns about your business, has a memory so it can help you reflect on scenarios or strategies or create images for you. I mean, there's so many great ways to leverage AI tools. So, I mean, yes, use your brain, but you don't have to use it too hard, right? Don't have a headache after all this, because you can easily get into that rabbit hole of ways to leverage AI.
So strategic thinking.
Yes, strategic thinking, 100%. Leverage some more of those keywords. Like, what are people searching for? How are they finding businesses that are like mine? I mean, so much of that is in the foundation of how you plan to connect with your people. And if you don't know those things in the beginning, now you're just shooting shots into the dark, and you're kind of like, why isn't any of this working? It's like, well, you don't know your customer very well, and you need to know your customer before you can be a resourceful tool for them.
So having those KPIs is really important.
Yeah, I've run a very close-knit team because I think we all need to have the awareness of what's happening, because if, I have someone running the social media side and the scheduling, well, a lot of that can tie into an automation that will be a Google review, or it can tie into other parts of another person's job that's in our agency, right? And so we keep the education and the communication so tight internally. Again, those changes come up with HighLevel all the time and enhancements. And so it makes it great, makes us more efficient. But as far as, the day-to-day of managing all of that, and we've got, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 tools that we use regularly on a day-to-day. And with our clients, we only use Google Workspace, anything. So we stay in touch with our clients on a Google Chat. We try to minimize some of those emails because everyone's got a billion emails flying at them. But it's really taken our ability to stop with so many of these little Post-it notes or spreadsheets, or just things that don't really work, and tie it all into one database where everyone has the same oversight. Everyone can go check in on analytics or check in on posting or whatever their respective area is. But the CRM is so well organized that it helps eliminate a lot of the confusion of having to log into other systems and hey, can you go check this and import it over here? I mean, a lot of that has been eliminated with this process. And it's made everything really efficient for us.
So now we fast forward into, we got our customer journey locked in. We have leads coming in. We have engagements happening, but we're doing all the engagements manually. What was your starting point journey like? And then maybe how has that evolved into, let's say, 50+% of it automated? And where do you use your time where you feel it's best used or best available?
Yeah. So, because we've got such an awesome social planner in the tool, our content game it's on point, right? We've got something that's very intentionally posted a couple times a week on there. But we want to make sure that we're still engaging with the people that engage with our content that we post. And that's a time-consuming job in itself. So we've set an automation up where we're leveraging our AI to communicate back and forth on anything Branche Out Marketing. We've trained it so it's got parameters and say, hey, let me just get you connected to someone in the team so we can further break that down. But it's helping with some of those back and forth and the little small talk conversations that need to happen because they slowly help build trust. But we just don't necessarily have the time to do it all because we're all over the place and working on growth. So
The small talk is big.
It's huge.
And I'm so impatient with it. Like, I'm just, what do we got to do? Let's do it. Like,
I know it is. And some people just need that little extra fluff and care and love, and that is what it is. So if it's the right audience and they just need a little extra nurturing, great. Well, I've got an automation that can help for that, but they're not going to feel automated. They're still going to feel very personalized in our connection and our engagement. So
could you share a little bit some of the ways that you're leveraging these automations for you, your clients, and maybe if somebody hears it like, I should do that too. Why am I doing that with my fingers?
Yep. The most common ones that we use, and I'm an open book, if you're going to take an idea from me, take it, please, and implement it. And if you need help, let us know, because, it's a lot of work, but our primary automations will revolve around personalized touch points. And with those 5 to 7, like I mentioned earlier, it's really important to get those in play without always asking something from that person and making sure that we've got a good mix of asking for the sale and providing value, asking for the sale, providing for the value. And that's really our philosophy around any of our outreach, because we don't want to spend our time with people who don't want to spend their time with us too, right? So let's just cut to the chase. So the automations have helped. We get birthdays, we send happy birthdays, just we're thinking of you, or, you know, in a conversation, I knew it was their company anniversary, congratulations. And I set these automations because I know I'm not going to necessarily remember to do it day of, but I can set something else up that will. And when people feel a little special, you know, that just strengthens the relationship and builds more trust. So whenever I'm creating any of these processes, I'm a big fan of playing the long game. I can long game out. I can out long game most people, I would say. And by doing that, you know, I leverage automations to do that. So that way I'm not just spreading my time too thin on it. Also, I think another overlooked part that we leverage a lot in the automation side is our Google reviews. I mean, I'm not exactly sure the percentage of people that look at Google reviews, but I know it's a very high number. People will go search for these companies, see what the experience has been like from other word of mouth reviews, and then make a decision. And so because that happens so frequently, our process needs to be tight on us getting reviews so people can understand how impactful the strategies that we've helped small businesses with actually are. And so my Google review game is on point. So we've leveraged an automation. So once they've become a client, probably about a month after, it takes us about 1 month to do a full onboarding. About a month and a half after, we ask for a review on there. And really we want that review because we know we're not at a point of ROI time so much yet. But it's more about this experience with us. Do they like us? Are we good people to them? Do we treat them with kindness and respect? Do they feel heard as we are creating this, you know, massive marketing plan for their businesses? All of those things are so foundationally important because when we show up the right way, you know, everything else is going to trickle in. Those ROIs will trickle in, but we need our people to like us and want to work with us, because that also helps with our word of mouth and growing our referral base there. But the automation of it all is important. I want every single person that comes to our agency to leave us a review. We also need to know where we need to do things better, right? It's so important for us to continue evolving and getting feedback. And when you're actively asking your clients what they think about you, oh, maybe this is something I can mention where it'd be cool if they offered me this. And it's like, oh, well, I do offer that. And that just never came up. So there's opportunities within those reviews too that I think are so underutilized. And mostly I'd say because people are kind of scared of feedback. They're kind of scared of the, you know, the not so great review, and you should desire those. You should attract any type of feedback from the people who are working with you so you can continue to evolve your business. And the best way to do that is just getting feedback from people who have interacted with you. So those automations are huge because that just continues to repeat or help us repeat business.
Yeah.
So
But I know the sales cycles are like, there's some big sales cycles.
there are some big sales cycles. Yeah.
And products. I mean, this could apply back to your customer journey that you mentioned. You need to know what that looks like.
Yeah.
It could be early stage education type of program where they phase into the next, and then the ultimate is the Tahiti where it's all 150 whatever K.
Yeah.
But there's a process to that of, let's say, 2 to 3 years of knowledge and experience and building the foundation to somebody that goes for, you know, I've seen people that you know, teach exams and testing for professions of, you know, 3 years till they get to their, you know, their end profession goal. I guess, would that be an example of the long game?
Yep, that's the long term. That's totally the long term. So exactly what you said. There's milestones to people's lives. And sometimes when you've reached out to them, then great person, great audience, great candidate, bad timing because of X, Y, Z, right? But this time next year, I know they'll be well positioned. They've graduated or they're 1 year into their business and feel more comfortable spending money on marketing and investing in their business. That long game is really important because then people feel like, oh my God, they remember me too. And then you're just more likely to convert. When that person's ready to buy, you're the first person that they think of. So we create those long game automations purely for that reason. We want to be
Hopefully that's not
forefront for
trademarked
that.
or anything. Or
I don't think so. If I stole it from someone, if that's the case. So
I'm like,
trademark
I like that.
whoever created
Long
that.
game, the LGA, long game automations. We're gonna make a
Yeah.
course around that or something. I
Yeah,
love,
yeah, totally.
but that's just an example of taking something that, maybe you say to yourself, or you look at something and back to applying it back into technology and back to applying it into the concept of doing business and being a business owner.
Mhm.
It's like an ever evolving process.
Yeah.
There are ways to do certain things in a chronological order, and there's others where they kind of just zigzag in between. And
Mhm.
I like how you explain it, because sometimes, when I listen to podcasts, all types, I'm like, man, I never thought of it like that, or oh, I knew it was that way.
Yep, exactly.
I just needed to
Yeah.
hear it from somebody else. As
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly, right? And not your mom, because it's never, you can't take it from your mom either. I love my mom. I take so much advice from my mom now. So
Well, yeah. And then the kids, now you start to realize how your kids feel about it. Like, oh man,
yeah, oh
I want.
yeah. Oh my God, totally, totally. That's a whole other thing. But to go back to what you said, the long game approach is really helping you stomach some of the business mindset that comes with just the ebbs and flows of business. Running a business is such a roller coaster. Sometimes you're going to be so much on the high, and sometimes you're going to be like, what the heck just happened here, right? And so when you can get yourself to really calibrate at this level and just not feel the ebbs and flows of that business, that happens because you've got such a great strategy in place. You've got enough people that are continuously coming into your CRM or your system that you can nurture over time. And you can wrap your head around, it's okay, it's just not a right time thing. It's not a me thing. Maybe it is a you thing, but that's another thing, right? You can a bit more, you can understand a bit more about where you might need to tighten your process or where you need to improve to continue evolving and growing your business. But it does help so much with business mindset and removing a little bit of the emotion from it, because business is emotional, right? Everything that we do is emotional. Someone didn't want to work with me, oh my God, right? But it just helps with just the mindset of the whole sales and marketing transaction altogether, because that can beat you up if you let it.
Yes. And as this starts to click for those that are listening, let us know below in the comments. Um, Maybe you've experienced something like we've described. Was there a way that you overcame it? Was there a way or something you're doing now to be proactive? Are you having long conversation cycles? Are you having those touch points? And that leads us into our third pillar that we committed to, which was achieving time freedom while maintaining the appropriate client, touch points, business related, but also friendship and nurturing per se. Could you touch on when you start to identify everything around your ideal client, the journey, you start setting up automations to, stay in tuned, whether it's tasks, notes, emails, congratulatory. How does that tie into now time and the next level of growing with customers and growing your business in the bottom line?
Yeah, I'm so passionate about this part, especially because, when I think there's four things that I ultimately strive to have, which is time freedom, freedom of money, freedom of relationship, and freedom of purpose. And I think most business owners are probably strive for those same things. And so many people will waste hours managing those tasks or sending follow-up emails or creating, scheduling social media posts, coming up with keywords and right? There's so much that happens that you have to dedicate time to, that it just really, it can take away from what you need to be primarily doing, which is selling and getting more customers into your database. So transitioning to HighLevel and just the automation itself, the repetitive tasks that we have to do daily or weekly or monthly or however the frequency, gives us so much time back to focus on making our product and service better and to nurturing more, new leads into our system. Because we've gotten so many of these processes tight, I'm more of a boots on the ground salesperson. I like to go into a business and say, hey, can I meet with the owner? I've got some things I can offer you. it gives me more time to do that and connect with the visionaries of the business and, tell me about your sales cycle and tell me about your audience or tell me about your products or how are you valuable, right? I love to get to know people on that level so deeply. And now I've got more time to do it. So in itself, that brings me a lot more fulfillment in how I spend my time on day to day. Not, oh, I need to update my task management or I need to send this follow-up email. Like it's already done. It's already done. So I'd say initially be of the mindset that the setup is the most time consuming part and it can be very techy and it can be very tricky. You can do it yourself. You can do it with marketing consultants. You can do it with a team of people around you that are doing their own thing and can provide value to how you're setting yours up. But the key is to make sure that, you've got what you need in place to run an effective business that you just have to worry about, or not worry, you just have to continue to enhance over time instead of recreating the sales cycle every time or recreating text or emails or recreate, like it takes out so much of that where you only have to do that initial setup and now it's in place and now it's in place. And all those other times throughout the year that you would have spent sending those emails, you've gotten that time to reallocate to whatever's most important to you or whatever is going to drive more revenue to the business, going to networking events, going, meeting more people, whatever it is, you just get time back while still getting the leads that are coming in through your door, booking meetings, and you just have to show up and provide value. So
Sounds like
time
you do
intensive.
sounds like you do a lot of white glove style actions, that you're applying your time to building relationships, applying your time to going out and meeting people and just being visible, being approachable. For someone that may not realize this, where they're not doing enough white glove style actions and they're deep in the weeds and it's more busy work, but they don't realize that it's busy work.
Mhm.
How would you share that, hey, you need to maybe reevaluate that because you're just keeping yourself busy?
Yeah, no, it's a great. It automatically reminds me of a productivity training that I went through by a gentleman named Darren Hardy. And it, it just opened up my eyes into how much I was spending time doing stuff that needed to get done, but not necessarily by me. And then I was negating all of the things that I should just be doing. So vital tasks, things I should be doing, trivial tasks, things that need to get done, but not by me. And so when I created that detailed list of stuff, and I was like, oh my God, I'm operating way too much in the trivial task, way too much, and I'm not generating enough over here, which my skill sets are showing up in front of people, bringing in new sales, educating, adding value, building relationships. Those are the only things I want to spend my time doing. And so I just take those trivial tasks, and that's how I knew that I needed to start hiring help and giving those tasks away immediately as fast as possible. So because I've implemented that, now I'm operating a lot more on the trivial, building relationships, doing podcasts, speaking in front of whoever, but that's where I shine the best. And I know that me operating here will generate business. And I have no expectation of how or when or why, but I know that I'm so confident in what my value is to businesses that they'll feel my conviction. They'll be excited about what I can offer. And then it, translates into business. And then that's really where the team picks up a lot of the oversight there. So try not to do it by yourself. If you have to, be very, diligent on what those vital tasks are that you have to do and what the trivial tasks are. Time block those vital tasks on your calendar, like the holy grail, take care of that thing more than anything else, and then plug in those trivial tasks and get to them as you can. But those vital tasks will help bring in the business, and that's really what's going to help you do all the other things on the trivial side and solve for that.
Adrianne, could you share from a strategy and then into a tech feature, maybe one best practice or advice or tip that you would share to somebody that could make an impact on their business as an agency owner to bring in a new client?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are running your business as an agency owner, running any kind of business per se, uh, hands down, the most important thing that you need to be doing is getting in front of people. Grant Cardone says this the best, and businesses suffer mostly because of obscurity. People just don't know that you exist. and you have to solve for that. And that has to be the number one focus. Everyone in your circle around you, 3 connections removed, need to know what services you offer, the value that you provide, and your reputation, right? So I think getting those in place right away is so important, because that just gives you more opportunity to get in front of more people, or, join other networking groups and show up with immediate value for people and what you can offer them. But I mean, leads can come from so many different places. For me, I personally love a referral lead. I think that's the warmest lead. Everyone is, teed up a little bit. It's not so cold. There's a little bit of a connection because of the person that's introduced us. So if you aren't comfortable getting in front of people and meeting new people, start getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because you have to do it. You absolutely have to do it. And go in with it of the mindset that people will be better off with you in their lives than without, or at least knowing that you exist. Again, of the timing thing. So get really comfortable talking to people and talking about your business unapologetically. It's everything that you stand for. It's your baby, and it should be treated as such, right? It's so important to not be like, oh yeah, and I also run a marketing business, or I also do this, or, talk about it with passion and excitement, and people will feel that conviction and be drawn to your business. Absolutely.
Adrianne, thank you again for sharing your expertise, your insights. We got a lot of events coming up in this year. Thank you so much for being a customer of ours. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you guys for, providing such an awesome community around all things high level and just continuously adding value. You guys are exceptional at that. And anyone else listening, I'm super happy to be a resource in any way that I can help. If you just want to talk and pick my brain on anything, I'm happy to give away whatever knowledge I've acquired and share that with you, because it does take some serious collaboration to make all this work. So thank you for having me, you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again.
We got more coming at you. Thank you all, and till the next one.